Imagine waking up to discover a lifeless body used as a prop, mistaken for a wax figure. This isn't a horror movie plot. It's the bizarre true story of Elmer McCurdy, a failed outlaw who, after death, became a traveling carnival attraction for over 60 years. How did a corpse become a sideshow star? And what chilling secrets did he witness from beyond the grave? In late 1976, a TV crew for the $6 Million Man was setting up in a funhouse in Long Beach, California. A prop man went to move a grotesque-looking figure hanging from a noose, assuming it was just a cheap, fluorescent-painted wax mannequin. But when he grabbed the arm, it snapped off, revealing human bone and mummified muscle. That prop was a real human corpse. The story authorities uncovered was the tale of a failed Wild West outlaw, whose body went on an unbelievable 65-year journey. It was passed from owner to owner, seen by thousands who never knew the mummy they were gawking at was real. So, how did a dead outlaw end up as a funhouse prop? To answer that, we have to go back more than 60 years. Elmer McCurdy, born in Maine in 1880, was a lifelong failure. After a stint in the army where he learned to use nitroglycerin, he drifted into a life of crime in Oklahoma, but he was terrible at it. His career was a series of blunders. In 1911, he tried to rob a train rumored to have a safe with $4,000. He used too much nitroglycerin, destroying the safe and most of the money. Later, he robbed a bank but only made off with $150 from an open tray. His most legendary screw-up came on October 4, 1911. McCurdy's gang targeted a Katy train supposedly carrying $400,000. In what was becoming a classic Elmer move, they robbed the wrong train. They escaped with a measly $46 and a couple jugs of whiskey. Defeated, McCurdy hid in a hay shed. There, on October 7th, a sheriff's posse tracked him down. After a shootout, Elmer McCurdy was killed by a single gunshot to the chest. He was 31. In life, Elmer McCurdy was a nobody. In death, he would become famous. McCurdy's unclaimed body was taken to the Johnson Funeral Home in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. The undertaker, Joseph Johnson, embalmed the body with an arsenic-based formula, a common technique for long-term preservation. The arsenic worked so well it essentially mummified McCurdy's body. Not wanting to be out of pocket for his work, Johnson got an idea. He propped the corpse in a corner, stuck a rifle in its hands, and charged people a nickel to see the bandit who wouldn't give up. For 5 years, people would literally place nickels in the corpse's mouth for a look. After a lifetime of failures, Elmer McCurdy was finally a star. The story of the mummy eventually reached Carnival promoters. In 1916, 2 men posing as Elmer's long-lost brothers showed up to claim the body for a proper burial. The undertaker handed it over. These men were James and Charles Patterson, Carnival owners, and within weeks, Elmer's body was the star of their sideshow, billed as the outlaw who would never be captured alive. This began a 60-year odyssey where McCurdy's corpse was bought and sold across the country. In 1922, it was sold to Louis Sonney for his Museum of Crime, and was displayed next to wax figures of famous outlaws like Jesse James. Over the decades, McCurdy's body traveled from sideshows to wax museums. The truth got lost, and owners eventually assumed the disturbingly realistic mummy was just a mannequin. It was even damaged in a windstorm near Mount Rushmore that blew off some of its fingers and toes. By the late 1960s, it landed at the Laugh in the dark funhouse at the Pike, painted with fluorescent paint and hung from a noose as a cheap jump scare. And that brings us back to December 1976. After the prop man's gruesome discovery, police were called. The body was sent to the LA County Coroner's Office, where it was determined the man had died from a gunshot wound decades earlier. The real clues that cracked the case were found in the mummy's mouth. There, investigators discovered a 1924 penny and a ticket stub for Louis Sonny's Museum of Crime. That ticket was the key. Investigators tracked down Sonny's son, who confirmed his father had once owned the mummy of an outlaw named Elmer McCurdy. With that, historical records and old newspaper clippings filled in the rest of the story. The funhouse mummy finally had a name. After 65 years on the road, Elmer McCurdy's bizarre journey was finally nearing its end. A historian in Oklahoma argued that McCurdy should be returned to the state where his story began, and in April 1977, his body was shipped to Guthrie, Oklahoma. A proper funeral was held, complete with a horse-drawn hearse and about 300 onlookers. McCurdy was laid to rest in the Boot Hill section of the Summit View Cemetery, next to another outlaw, Bill Doolin. But they took one final, extraordinary step. To make absolutely sure that no one would ever steal his body again, 2 feet of solid concrete was poured over his casket. After a lifetime of failure and an afterlife as a macabre celebrity, Elmer McCurdy was finally at peace. His strange saga proves that truth is often stranger than fiction, and his story continues to fascinate. It even inspired a Broadway musical called Dead Outlaw. It's one of those stories that's so strange it just has to be true. If you find stories like this as fascinating as I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next journey into unbelievable history.